The night was quiet, too quiet for the bustling city that usually hummed with life at every corner. But beneath the silence, something sinister lingered, hidden in the shadows, waiting for the morning sun to rise. Outside a modest suburban home sat a brand new silver sedan, still gleaming as if it had just been driven out of the dealership. It was the kind of car that carried hope, fresh beginnings, and the dreams of a woman who had fought for years to finally afford something of her own. What she didn't know was that a cold hand of fate had already touched it, for deep under its frame lay a device of pure destruction, a bomb, ticking silently, ready to shatter everything she had built with one careless turn of the key. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of stories that change us, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive and helps spread the message of hope around the world. The woman's name was Ayesha, a 34-year-old nurse who had dedicated her entire adult life to serving others. She worked endless night shifts at the hospital, tending to strangers while her own life slipped quietly into the background. She didn't come from wealth. Her father had been a factory worker, her mother a homemaker who raised her with strict values, teaching her that hard work and honesty were worth more than anything money could buy. For years, Ayesha took buses, rode shared taxis, and walked miles through scorching summers and stormy winters just to make it to her patients on time. Each day she told herself, "One day, I'll have a car. One day, I'll drive to work without fear of missing my shift." That day had finally arrived. With years of careful saving and countless overtime hours, she signed the papers and walked into her driveway with a heart bursting with pride. The car wasn't just a vehicle, it was a symbol of her persistence, her resilience, and her unshaken faith that sacrifices eventually lead to rewards. She ran her hands over the steering wheel, smiled at her reflection in the rearview mirror, and whispered a quiet thank you to God. For the first time in years, she felt she was moving forward. But fate has a cruel way of testing the strongest hearts. The same night she parked her car outside her home, someone watched. Someone filled with envy, anger, or perhaps a plan darker than she could ever imagine. A faceless shadow crouched near the vehicle, tools glinting under the dim light of the street lamp. With mechanical precision, a package was fastened beneath the car, wires tucked carefully out of sight, a timer set for the next morning when Ayesha would leave for work. And then, like a ghost, the shadow vanished into the night, leaving behind death disguised as innocence. The morning came with golden rays spilling into her small kitchen as Ayesha poured herself tea. She packed her hospital ID card, folded her scarf neatly, and locked the door behind her. With a tired smile, she stepped toward the car she had dreamed of for so long. But as her fingers touched the handle, she felt a strange weight in her chest, an unexplainable hesitation. Call it intuition, call it divine protection, something inside her whispered, "Wait." At the very same time, across the street, a retired army officer named Salman was sitting on his porch. He had been a bomb disposal expert during his service, and though his body was now frail with age, his eyes still carried the sharpness of someone who had lived too long with danger. As Ayesha approached her car, Salman noticed something unusual. The car sat too low, its balance slightly off, as though something heavy was hidden beneath. He squinted, his heart racing as he recognized the subtle irregularity. He had seen it before, during missions that cost lives and saved others. Salman shouted her name, telling her to stop. Ayesha froze, startled by his urgency. She stepped back just as he hurried toward her, his face pale with fear. He bent low, looked under the car, and what he saw confirmed his worst suspicion. A crude but deadly explosive device strapped to the undercarriage, wires blinking faintly with deadly intent. His breath caught in his throat. Time was short, and one wrong move could end everything. For Ayesha, the world seemed to blur. The pride of yesterday crumbled into terror today. She thought of her parents, her patients, the unfinished dreams she still carried. Her knees trembled, and tears stung her eyes. Why me, she thought. What did I ever do to deserve this? But life doesn't pause for questions. Each second ticked like a hammer, echoing the countdown of death itself. Salman acted with calm urgency. He told Ayesha to move far away, to seek cover behind the concrete wall of her house. His hands shook slightly. He hadn't touched explosives in years, but muscle memory returned like an old companion. Slowly, he examined the wires, the connections, the triggering mechanism. Sweat rolled down his forehead. He knew that even a breath too heavy, a slip of the hand, could ignite catastrophe. Yet he pressed on, guided by duty, by instinct, and by something greater, the belief that saving even one innocent life was worth risking his own. The neighborhood began to stir as people noticed the commotion. Some whispered in fear, others took out phones to call the police, but none dared approach. Ayesha watched from a distance, her heart pounding, her lips whispering silent prayers. For the first time, she realized how fragile life truly was, how in a single heartbeat everything could vanish. Minutes felt like hours. Salman carefully snipped a wire, then another, his breath steady though his heart raced. Finally, after what felt like eternity, the device stopped blinking. The silence that followed was deafening, but it carried relief, the kind that makes tears fall freely. He had done it. The bomb was disarmed. Ayesha's car, her life, her future, all were spared by the courage of a man who refused to look away. She ran to him, falling to her knees, her voice breaking as she thanked him. In that moment, she realized that the car didn't matter, the dreams it represented didn't matter. What truly mattered was the kindness of a stranger, the bravery of one soul standing between her and death. The police later confirmed that the device was real and deadly. They searched for answers, suspects, motives, but sometimes evil doesn't explain itself. What remained was not the shadow of fear but the light of gratitude. Ayesha decided that her car, though saved, would never again just be a vehicle. It was now a reminder that every day she lived was borrowed time, a gift not to be wasted. She returned to her hospital shifts with a deeper compassion, treating each patient not just as a duty but as a miracle of survival, because she herself had been given a second chance. Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks. Every click, every share spreads hope, courage, and the reminder that kindness still exists in this world, even when darkness tries to take over. And before we end, tell us in the comments, if you were Ayesha, what would be the very first thing you'd do after surviving such a moment?